sexual abuse of children skyrocketed with the school closures. The school is the one place that sexual abuse and physical abuse of children comes to the attention of the school often first. That is how we know what's going on in the home often. When you close schools, there were hundreds of thousands of cases that escaped capture, that we missed. We had children, we had parents, husbands and wives appearing. We were looking at the data. The news wouldn't report it. But see, I knew the data. The news wouldn't report it because it would have given President Trump a positive look because he was pushing to open schools. They were keeping schools closed. We had data showing us from the different states that there were husbands and wives appearing at the emergency room with their child limp, unresponsive in their arms, telling the emergency room doctor, look, I think I might have killed my child. Could you help me? And explain that I've been laid off, my husband's been laid off, we've been fighting each other now for a year, beating each other, and we beat the child, you know? So we knew the data. President Trump knew the data. That is why people saw him aggressively on the podium begging the country to reopen and the schools to reopen and fighting with the unions because he was seeing what we were seeing. And the media would not report it because then it would make Trump look good. So I was trying everything I could to inform whomever the NIH and CDC. Look, you know, you people are a little misguided because if you're talking about the science, you're not following the science. The science shows that you're wrong. Long and short of this was, after that email exchange, there was a high-level meeting on HHS, and there were people from CDC and NIH that came. And after the meeting, I'm walking back to my cubicle office, and they were going to the elevator, and they walked with me. And two of them, I didn't even know these people, but they were in this meeting. You know, often you have this big high-level meeting, teleconference, and people take roll call, but there's like 50 people, you don't even know them. A lot of them were justice people, lawyers. You know, they're there to make sure you don't say anything wrong. Anyway, they were walking me and they say, you know, Paul, you know, we know that you're here and stuff, and we really like a lot of things that you say, and we actually agree with you. So I said, well, first of all, I thought they were lawyers, and said, no, we work at NIH, and we're going. So I said, well, you know, thank you very much. And they said, well, we want to let you know something. Because of your pushback on the NIH and Dr. Fauci openly, they're going to smear and slander you. They have already gotten all of your units' communications, and they are going to pick a word or a line that you've written, not your entire communication, and they're going to create a story around that line. So I'm asking them, I said, well, how could I prevent that? They said, you can't prevent it. It's already done. The story is probably going to run in about 4 days. And exactly as they said, in about 4 days from that day, the news started to leak my emails. So that began in DC, and the White House and everyone involved made sure they let me know, and whomever I worked with, and other people who were being attacked, like Dr. Atlas, etc. Do not respond to the media. Don't grant no interviews. Just write it out. But I have to tell you, I was in DC, where my apartment was. That was the Capitol building, and that was the White House. So I was in the nerve center of it. I had press outside my building. I had people calling the media. I don't know how they did it. They leaked my cell phone. They leaked. Press were calling me. People were calling my phone, sending me threatening emails, threatening my life, my wife, my little kid. What surprised me the most was faculty at McMaster. I was stunned. There were faculty at McMaster who were outraged that I worked for President Trump. So I'm sitting in DC, and I didn't know what to do. I'm sharing with you. I wanted to go home. Means home for me was Canada. But I'm thinking, how would I do this? You know, because I don't know if maybe if I get home, I might see people outside my door. You know, because that's how these people operate. And I was dealing with it in DC, and then I got moved around DC between Virginia, Maryland, back to DC for safety and security. So I was being helped for my safety, keep my family safe. And at one point, you know, just so that you understand, what the media writes about people is almost 99.5% untrue, often. And they did that to me. They tried to cancel Dr. Atlas. They've tried to cancel Dr. Bhattacharya. Many good professors, many good doctors in Canada. I'll give you Dr. Mark Trozzi, Dr. Francis Christian, Dr. Hoff, Dr. Kulvinder Gill. All these people I work with daily on early treatment. Why? Because they advocated early treatment. And then I was told, because you are advocating for early outpatient treatment, even though we knew that it was effective and it saved lives, that was off the table. And because you've done that, I had also written the FDA high-level this communication where I laid out, you know, looking at the clinical trial as it's going on, you know, I have been in government and stuff. I'd like to tell you that these are the flaws that I think are in the trial. I think that the trial, you must follow this trial longer term. The issue about talking about giving emergency use authorization is such a small sample size, small number of events, and I went through the research methods with them. Said once you have less than 200 events, less than 300 events, there's a severe risk of overestimating of the treatment effect. We published those papers. I came from McMaster, and we are purist methodologists. I laid out how wrong they were in Washington EAU, and I said, you know, what are the surveillance that you need to implement, the surveillance systems to follow the safety events long term. So I was on the chopping block it's almost as though the bullseye was in between my eyes, and it was the most horrible experience ever, especially with my experience at McMaster, because McMaster reached out to me and told me, because I mean, you're Canadian, so I'll explain to you what they did. They said, Paul, we have the entire media in Canada want an interview. I said, well, I can't give no interview to nobody. The White House has told me I can't speak to anybody. Then they said they want to interview people in the university. I said, well, I can't stop that. All of a sudden, I started to get emails and calls from professors from Oxford, because I attended Oxford, who were my professors back then. I even forgot who they were, telling me, Paul, you know, this media person sent me an email and wanted to ask me questions about you, what type of person you were. You know, did I ever see anything odd about you? And you were just my scientific student. So this person actually supervised my thesis. I don't have anything negative to say. What should I tell them? I said, well, you just tell them the truth. They communicated. They went into all my published literature, all of the studies I published, and they're numerous. And they found all of the co-authors that I co-authored with. And they communicated with them, asking them things about me. Is this a good guy? You know, did he ever do anything wrong to you? Nobody had anything negative to say about me. But it is the most catastrophic thing, devastating to you, to know that I am living in Canada. This is my home. Now I'm outside, and you have the press in Canada like in a frenzy. They just want a story. They just want to write something, and they're not investigating it properly to know the truth. And it just went on, and then by around the end of September, I couldn't take it much more. And I'll be straightforward. I'll tell you on the inside. The White House called me and told me that you just keep not responding to the press. We are going to bring you into the White House in 2 weeks, move you out of HHS, and bring you there. And that will be it. By then, there will be another story. Turns out, next day, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, sadly. And from my point of view, I got communications from the White House and they pretty much told me and other persons that now you're going to be off the front page, because now they have another story to deal with.